What if I told you that before you were born, before you took your first breath, before you opened your eyes in this world, your soul sat down and wrote a detailed contract about the life you're living right now? What if every major challenge you're facing, every person who drives you crazy, every talent you're afraid to use, what if none of these are accidents but specific agreements you made with absolute clarity before incarnating? What if I told you that you signed 10 sacred contracts, 10 specific commitments about lessons to learn, people to meet, and missions to fulfill, and right now, at this very moment, you're breaking 7 of them? I'm Edgar Cayce. Over 40 years of accessing the Akashic Records in deep trance states, I witnessed something that revolutionizes how we understand life purpose. Your soul doesn't stumble into incarnation randomly. It plans, it prepares, it signs binding agreements about what it will accomplish in this lifetime. And here's the empowering truth most people never discover: that nagging feeling that you're living the wrong life, that persistent sense that something's off, that voice whispering, "This isn't what I'm supposed to be doing." That's not anxiety or dissatisfaction. That's your soul screaming that you've gone off script. Today, I'm going to reveal the 10 specific contracts your soul signed before birth. More importantly, I'm going to show you how to recognize which ones you're honoring and which ones you're breaking, and why breaking them creates that unbearable sensation of wearing someone else's life. Let me start with something I discovered about my own soul contract that changed everything I understood about life purpose. In 1934, I gave a reading for myself, something I rarely did. I was exhausted, conflicted, wrestling with whether to continue this work. The trance readings were demanding, physically draining, and constantly controversial. Part of me wanted a normal life, a quiet existence, freedom from the responsibility of accessing information from the other side. During that self-reading, information came through with absolute clarity. Before this incarnation, my soul had signed a specific contract. I had agreed to serve as a bridge between dimensions, to access the Akashic Records for exactly 40 years, and to document everything for future generations who would need this wisdom. But here's what shook me. The reading revealed that I'd almost broken the contract twice. Once in my 20s, when I'd considered abandoning the work entirely. Once in my 30s, when illness and doubt nearly convinced me to stop. Each time I came close to breaking the agreement, my life fell apart in ways I couldn't explain. Depression, financial collapse, physical illness that doctors couldn't diagnose. Not because God was punishing me, but because my soul was creating friction, deliberately making the wrong path, so uncomfortable that I'd be forced back onto the agreed route. The moment I recommitted to the contract, everything shifted. Health returned, resources appeared, the path cleared. That's when I understood. We're not victims of random fate. We're souls who wrote our own curriculum, then forgot we enrolled in the class. The question isn't, why is this happening to me? The question is, what did I agree to learn from this? Here's what the Akashic Records revealed about soul contracts that most spiritual teachings get wrong. Your soul doesn't incarnate to be happy or feel comfortable. It incarnates to grow, to learn, to evolve, and that requires specific challenges. Think of it like this. Before birth, your soul is like a student reviewing a university catalogue, selecting courses for the semester. Except instead of Mathematics 101 and Biology 202, you're selecting compassion through loss, humility through failure, courage through fear, and forgiveness through betrayal. You don't choose easy electives. You choose the courses that will develop the specific soul qualities you're lacking. Then you incarnate, and the forgetting happens. You arrive in a physical body with no memory of the curriculum you selected, but the classes still show up right on schedule, except now they look like tragedies, obstacles, difficult people, and impossible situations. Through thousands of readings, I documented that every soul signs approximately 10 major contracts before birth. Not vague intentions, but specific binding agreements about people you will meet and what you'll learn from them, talents you'll develop and how you'll use them, challenges you'll face and what they'll teach you, geographic locations where significant growth will occur, timing of major life events including approximate death. These aren't suggestions. They're commitments your soul made with absolute seriousness, knowing that breaking them would result in a life that feels fundamentally wrong, like trying to run a program on the wrong operating system. Technically functional, but constantly glitching. Here's the empowering part. That discomfort you feel isn't failure, it's feedback. Your soul has a built-in GPS that keeps recalculating the route back to your original agreements. Every time you ignore your talents, avoid difficult people, chase comfort over growth, or silence your authentic voice, the GPS says recalculating route and the discomfort intensifies. But when you align with your contracts, when you do what your soul actually agreed to do, life doesn't necessarily become easier, but it becomes right. The friction disappears. You feel the click of puzzle pieces fitting perfectly. Let me show you the 10 contracts your soul most likely signed and how to recognize whether you're honoring or breaking each one. If you're ready to finally understand why your life feels the way it does, hit that like button right now. The first contract almost everyone signs involves a specific person or category of person you agreed to serve, help, or support in this lifetime, usually because they served you in a previous incarnation. This isn't about general kindness to everyone. This is a targeted agreement. I will be there for this specific soul when they need me most. The person might be a family member who requires caregiving, a friend who needs your specific support during crisis, a stranger you'll encounter once whose life you'll save with a single action. Sometimes it's an entire category. I will dedicate my career to helping abandoned children, or I will support veterans with PTSD. Your soul knows who they are. Your conscious mind just hasn't recognized the contract yet. The sign you're honoring this contract, you feel deep fulfillment when serving this person or group, even when it's difficult. There's a sense of, this is exactly what I'm supposed to be doing. The sign you're breaking it. Someone keeps showing up in your life needing help, and you keep avoiding them because it's inconvenient. Or you chose a career path that moves you away from the people you agreed to serve. The second contract is one of the most misunderstood. Your soul agreed to experience a specific type of suffering, loss, betrayal, abandonment, illness, not as punishment, but as the fastest path to developing compassion and wisdom you couldn't gain any other way. You didn't choose suffering because you're a masochist. You chose it because you looked at your soul's resume and realized you lacked empathy in specific areas. The only way to truly understand certain types of pain is to feel them yourself. This is why some of the most compassionate healers are wounded healers. The therapist who specializes in grief lost someone they loved. The addiction counselor battled addiction personally. The advocate for abuse survivors survived abuse themselves. The wound wasn't random, it was curriculum. The sign you're honoring this contract. You've transformed your pain into purpose. You use what you learned to help others facing similar challenges. The sign you're breaking it. You're stuck in victim identity, using your wound as an excuse rather than transforming it into wisdom. Or you've buried the pain so deeply you can't access the compassion it was meant to teach you. The third contract is both the most empowering and most commonly broken. Your soul possesses a unique gift, a talent, ability, or perspective that you specifically agreed to develop and share with the world. Not maybe someday. Not when I feel confident enough. You signed a binding agreement. I will develop this gift and deliver it to those who need it. The gift might be artistic, music, writing, painting, that carries healing frequencies. It might be intellectual, ideas or innovations that solve real problems. It might be interpersonal, the ability to see people deeply and help them transform. Here's what makes this contract so powerful. Your gift isn't for you, it's for specific people whose lives will change because you shared it. When you hide your gift out of fear or self-doubt, you're not just limiting yourself, you're breaking an agreement that affects others. Let me share a documented case. In 1936, I gave a reading for a man who was a naturally gifted musician but had abandoned his career due to family pressure to pursue something practical. He'd become an accountant and was chronically, inexplicably depressed. The reading revealed his soul contract clearly. He'd agreed to bring healing music to hospital patients, specifically children with terminal illnesses, music that would ease their suffering and bring peace to their final days. He'd broken the contract for 20 years. The depression was his soul's way of saying, "You're living the wrong life." At 50 years old, he finally returned to music, started volunteering at children's hospitals. Within months, the depression lifted completely. Not because life became easier, but because he'd aligned with his agreement. The sign you're honoring this contract. You're actively developing your gift and sharing it, regardless of whether it's profitable or socially acceptable. The sign you're breaking it. You know what your gift is, but you're keeping it private, waiting for the right time, or convincing yourself it's not important enough. The fourth contract involves a specific person, often a romantic partner, family member, or close friend, who triggers your worst qualities and deepest wounds, not to torture you, but to show you exactly what you need to heal. Before birth, your soul essentially said, "I need to see my shadow self clearly. I need someone who will reflect back my unhealed parts so I can't ignore them anymore." Then you incarnate and meet this person, and they drive you absolutely crazy. They push every button. They bring out jealousy, anger, insecurity, control issues, all the parts of yourself you'd rather not acknowledge. Your ego wants to blame them and leave. Your soul knows they're fulfilling their contract perfectly. They're being your mirror so you can finally see what needs healing. The sign you're honoring this contract. You recognize the reflection, do the inner work, and transform. The relationship either heals completely or you part ways with gratitude for the lesson. The sign you're breaking it. You keep leaving similar relationships and finding new people who trigger you in identical ways because you haven't learned the lesson yet. The players change, but the pattern repeats. The fifth contract addresses something most people think is random luck. Your financial situation was largely planned by your soul before incarnation as a specific teaching tool. Some souls choose poverty or financial struggle to learn resourcefulness, humility, and non-attachment to material things. Others choose wealth to learn responsibility, generosity, and that money doesn't bring fulfillment. This doesn't mean you're stuck forever. It means your current financial situation contains a lesson your soul specifically signed up to learn. The sign you're honoring this contract. You're learning what money was meant to teach you, whether that's gratitude in scarcity or generosity in abundance. And your relationship with money becomes healthy. The sign you're breaking it. You're obsessed with changing your financial situation without learning the lesson it carries, so the lesson keeps repeating in different forms. The sixth contract is one of the hardest to accept. Some souls agree to experience specific illnesses, disabilities, or physical limitations, not as punishment, but as accelerated soul development. Through thousands of readings, I witnessed souls who chose challenging bodies because physical limitation would force spiritual expansion they couldn't achieve any other way. A body that can't run becomes a mind that soars. A body that experiences pain becomes a heart that understands suffering. A life shortened by illness becomes a soul that learns to live fully in each moment. The sign you're honoring this contract. You work with your limitation rather than only against it, finding the unexpected gifts and growth it brings. The sign you're breaking it. You're consumed by bitterness about your condition, missing the profound spiritual development it was designed to accelerate. The seventh contract involves a specific location, a city, region, or country, where your soul agreed to live or work because critical connections, opportunities, or lessons await you there. Some people feel an inexplicable pull toward places they've never been. That's not wanderlust. That's soul GPS trying to redirect you to a location where important contracts await fulfillment. I documented a case in 1939 of a man obsessed with moving to a city on the opposite side of the country. Everyone thought he was crazy. During the reading, I saw clearly his soul had agreed to incarnate in that specific city, but had been born in the wrong location due to circumstances. His entire being was trying to correct the error and get to where the real agreements waited. The sign you're honoring this contract, you're in the location where you feel most alive, most purposeful, most yourself, even if it makes no practical sense. The sign you're breaking it. You're staying somewhere safe and familiar while your soul screams to move to a place that calls you for reasons you can't explain. The eighth contract involves a specific moment, or series of moments, when you agreed to speak truth, expose injustice, or stand up for what's right despite personal cost. Not everyone has this contract, but those who do feel it burning inside them. The knowledge that staying silent when you should speak is breaking a sacred agreement. This might be speaking up about abuse in your family, exposing corruption at your workplace, using your platform to address injustice, telling your story to help others find courage. The sign you're honoring this contract. You speak your truth when it matters most, even when your voice shakes, even when there are consequences. The sign you're breaking it. You keep finding reasons to stay silent about the thing you know you're meant to address, and the discomfort of silence becomes unbearable. The ninth contract is similar to the gift delivery but more specific. Your soul agreed to create something particular, a book, a song, a piece of art, a body of work that carries frequencies or messages needed in the world. You're not creating for ego or fame. You're fulfilling a contract to birth something through you that wants to exist. The sign you're honoring this contract. You're creating consistently, bringing into physical form what your soul came to express. The sign you're breaking it. You have something inside you desperate to be created, but fear of judgment keeps it locked inside. The 10th contract is the most mysterious. Before birth, your soul agreed to an approximate departure date, when your work here would be complete and it would be time to return home. I say approximate because this contract has flexibility. The Akashic Records revealed something profound. Most souls have 3 to 5 exit points, potential death moments scattered throughout life. At each exit point, the soul can choose to leave or stay based on whether contracts are complete. This explains near-death experiences where people survive against all odds. Their soul checked, "Have I completed my agreements?" If the answer is no, they return. The sign you're honoring this contract. You're living fully, completing your agreements, so when your time comes, you'll depart with your mission fulfilled. The sign you're breaking it. You're postponing your purpose, and deep down, you fear you'll run out of time. Subscribe to this channel if you're ready to stop living someone else's life and start honoring the agreements your own soul made. Now here's the truth that changes everything. These contracts aren't chains. They're commitments you made freely from a place of wisdom and clarity your current self can barely imagine. Before birth, you saw your soul's entire history. You knew your strengths and weaknesses with perfect honesty. You looked at what you needed to learn, and you designed a life that would teach you exactly those lessons in the most efficient way possible. You didn't choose struggle to punish yourself. You chose specific challenges because you were brave enough to want real growth. And here's the most empowering part. You can renegotiate contracts, but only after you've attempted to honor them. You can't quit a class you never attended. You have to show up, do the work, engage with the lesson. Then, if it truly doesn't serve your highest growth, your soul can negotiate modifications. But most people never get there. They break contracts without ever attempting to honor them, then wonder why life feels so empty despite having everything they thought they wanted. Let me give you something immediately practical. Get a piece of paper and a pen right now. I'm going to ask you 3 questions. Write down the first answer that comes to mind. Don't filter, don't overthink, don't make it pretty. Your first instinct is your soul speaking before your ego can censor it. Question 1. If my soul could scream one thing that I'm ignoring, it would be, write whatever comes immediately. Question 2. The person in my life who irritates me most deeply, but I know I need to learn something from them, is, write the name or description. Question 3. The talent I have but I'm wasting because I'm afraid of judgment is, write it honestly. These 3 answers reveal contracts that are active right now, agreements you're currently breaking or struggling to honor. The first answer shows your primary unfulfilled agreement. The second reveals your mirror relationship contract. The third exposes your gift delivery contract. Now ask yourself, what would change if you honored these 3 contracts starting tomorrow? Not perfectly, not fearlessly, just starting. What if you took one small action toward each one? Developed the gift just slightly. Engaged with the difficult person with curiosity instead of resistance. Did the thing your soul is screaming for you to do. Your life won't transform instantly, but the friction will begin to ease. The GPS will stop recalculating. You'll start to feel the rightness of alignment. I want to leave you with something I discovered across 40 years of readings that completely transformed how I understood human suffering. You are not lost. You're not broken. You're not living the wrong life by accident. You're a soul who wrote a brilliant, challenging, perfectly designed curriculum, then forgot you enrolled. Every frustration, every restless feeling, every moment of this isn't right, that's not depression or failure. That's your soul trying to remind you of the agreements you made with such courage before incarnating. The person who irritates you is teaching you what you asked to learn. The talent you're hiding is waiting to be delivered to those who need it. The place that calls you is where your real work awaits. The wound that won't heal is meant to become your greatest wisdom. You're not lost in life. You're running from the map you yourself drew. But here's the beautiful truth. The moment you stop running and look at the map, the moment you say, okay, I'll honor what I came here to do, everything shifts. Not into ease, but into rightness. Not into comfort, but into purpose. Not into happiness, but into fulfillment. Living in alignment with your soul contracts means you stop wondering what you're supposed to do with your life. You'll know, bone deep. You stop resenting difficult people and situations. You'll recognize them as contracted teachers. You stop feeling guilty about your gifts. You'll finally share them with those who need them most. The choice available to you right now is profound. You can continue pretending you don't know what your soul came here to do, staying comfortable in the wrong life, accumulating more years but not more meaning. Or you can acknowledge what you've always known, what your restlessness has been trying to tell you, and take one brave step toward honoring the agreements you made before you forgot. Subscribe if you're ready to remember what your soul came here to accomplish and find the courage to actually do it. Comment below with your answer to this. The contract I know I'm breaking is, let's create accountability together. Like this video if you felt the truth of these words in your bones, that recognition is your soul saying, finally, someone's speaking my language. Share this with someone who keeps saying, I feel like I'm living the wrong life. They need to hear this. You didn't come here by accident. You came with agreements, with missions, with purpose, written into your soul's blueprint. Stop breaking the contracts. Start honoring them. Your soul has been waiting your entire life for you to remember. Remember now,